Operation status quo. Operation status quo. Prepare to engage. Operation status quo. Ready to engage. Operation status quo. Engaged. Engaged. Hello to you, and how do you do? It's so true, I'm happy to be here with you. Good night, everybody. Thanks. How we doing out there, ladies and gentlemen? Hello. And welcome, of course, once again, back to Operation Status Quo. We're back in the studio today. Yesterday, I was out and about in the neighborhood a little bit. That was nice. I like recording outside sometimes. It's kind of fun just to get a different vibe and just kind of walk around and shoot the shit and get a different background and all that kind of thing instead of always the same, the same scenario, right? I got to do more of that type of stuff. Maybe I should start doing a whole series of just taking you guys out and about with me. I go grocery shopping, we'll do an episode, just the most ridiculous. Like how they used to do all the time. I mean, that's really what those reality shows were like, right? When you follow the Kardashians, or when Ozzy Osbourne and his family, or in the Hulk Hogan, right? When all those people had like reality shows, you're just like kind of hanging around following Hulk Hogan around all day and seeing what his day's like, So, of course, I understand that Hulk Hogan is probably more of a figure that people would actually want to watch. But, we just got to take it step by step. Eventually, you'll be that interested in me, too. Like one day I'll be that interested in myself as well. All right. Hey, this is Operation Status Quo. I'm Pete Palma. If you haven't been here before, thank you so much for taking the time to be here today and engage with Operation Status Quo. This is the place where we observe the status quo of life. We learn to flow with the status quo of life. And then, of course, we create our own flow of quo, because that's the only way to go. We just have to keep it simple and mitigate our way through these ever-changing circumstances as our world flip-flops on top of itself and changes into whatever it's becoming. It's a beautiful, yet it's a beautiful process, yet it could be a little off-putting at times, if we don't find certain ways or realizations to deal with it in a positive manner, right? So today is what is today? Today is what is today? Today is the 30th of August. I'm sorry, I'm looking over here at my screen and it says no data, but now it says excellent condition. So that's how easily distracted I am. By the way, yesterday, this hurricane Idalia or whatever came through here. So, there's still some effects going on here today. It's a little, if you notice, it's a little darker. I don't know if you could tell. We got some pretty good bands of rain coming through. The storm's up north past me now, probably into Georgia or something by now. But, you got those, how it wraps around, how those hurricanes do. So down here where I am in Florida, we're still getting some of the bands of rain and some wind. But I will say, thank God, everything was okay. I mentioned yesterday about my fear of losing power, and thank God that did not happen on this particular occasion, but it doesn't mean that it won't happen in a future occasion. That's part of the reason why I'm talking about what I'm talking about here today once I get into it momentarily. But so that's what's going on as far as the storm update goes, but we made it through here pretty good. So feeling good, and everything's okay. So if you were worried about me, thank you. All right. What else? So today is the 30th of August in the good year 2023, and today's program is indeed titled "It's a Panic Party." That's right, because I realized this as this storm came through. Of course, we know how the news and everything pumps everything up, and let's be real. Any storm of this magnitude, hurricane or something, when it comes through, wherever it really makes landfall in that immediate area is always going to, bear the brunt of the impacts. And, even the surrounding areas where it may not be as strong. I mean, obviously you have a lot of, wind damage or, power outages. This particular storm caused a lot of flooding. Even here, I'm pretty close to St. Pete and Clearwater and some of those areas, Tampa, obviously. So I can see, stuff I saw on the news, like some of these places, like I've been a lot of these spots, and I'm watching how the water is overflown everywhere into the streets around over there. So, stuff to be mindful of, and that's what brings up what we're talking about here today, because I really find it to be an interesting dynamic and observation of the human condition, of how just people panic every time these situations occur. And what really kind of kicked it off to me was I stopped and got gas, not yesterday or the day before, right? Because the storm was coming, so I already had it. So I think it was the day before, and I just happened, to need gas. But of course, we were already talking about the storm coming. So when I was at the gas station, I mean, it was just like total mayhem. The people were, they were whatchamacallit, you couldn't get into a spot to get it. The cars were all backed up around. I mean, it was who's almost crashing into each other. Just total mania over putting some gas in your car, right? And again, this happens too when I was living up north. Every time they say it's going to snow, everybody's running out. You got to get your milk, eggs, and bread. I guess I think you have to buy milk, eggs, and bread because everybody eats French toast. I guess during when the storm comes, so you have to have your bread so you can dip the egg and then cook it on the pan. But unless you don't have power, then I guess maybe you have like a little sterno thing. I don't know, whatever you have for yourself. But long story short, people go ballistic over this stuff. The grocery stores and everything like that. So and my thought process here is, and I've talked a little bit about, prepping before, but I realize myself, the way I was brought up and everything, and the way our world is, we're always just assuming you're going to flip the switch and the lights are going to go on. You're just always assuming, you're going to be able to, there's going to be what you want at the grocery store and, all these type of things. So, but what the truth is, I think it's important for us, especially now in the times that we're in, where we really don't know what can happen, whether it be the wars that are going on or the politics, or, even if the aliens land. Maybe the aliens land and they're very hungry. And before you know it, they're eating everything in the grocery store. And now you can't get your little bag of Doritos to go hunker down and be a slabone on the couch with, because all the aliens are eating your Doritos. So, it's about, being mindful and just being prepared. Like if I feel, this is how I really came to think of all this, is like, and how I'm thinking for myself moving forward in the future, because I never really did used to think this way. I was more just like, nothing happens. But the truth is, stuff does happen, right? And whether it be, some sort of weather catastrophe or, environmental thing as far as a volcano or an earthquake, or even if it's something that's not even that severe, maybe it's your own individual situation, like, God forbid, a fire in your house or something, I don't wish that on anybody. I'm just saying, I don't even like to bring it up because for some reason it just always, not say scares me, but like, I just feel like it's one of the most horrible things that can happen to somebody is to, lose their home. I had a neighbor of mine before I moved down here who, I guess a fire started in their house, and they wound up losing 2 of the pets that didn't make it out. And it was just horrible. You lose your whole home. So I don't mean to be a downer, but the point is, things happen in life, right? And I think, and again, I go back to, of course, how we were programmed as a society, that we've been bred basically to be dependent on the system, so, no one thinks about growing their own food, having their own little, reserve of this, that, or the other. It's just, I'll go to Costco. Everybody runs to Costco because I thought this too. Like, so let me wrap this up here in a way. Because I went to Costco like a week ago as well, and I just wondered, and I do this when I go. I get stuff that like, for example, like a case of water. I'm not big on the bottled water. I have my reverse osmosis water machine, so I'm always doing water. Oh, I'm so sorry. I kicked my cat is under me, and I'm sorry, buddy. I didn't mean to kick you. Yeah, I didn't know you were under there. So anyway. But I do buy a case of water here and there and just keep it stored because, God forbid, if something does happen, it's nice to have, water on hand. And I saw this wall, like in that back part of Costco where they were with the cases of water. It was just like so many cases of water. It was just like, and I thought to myself, all it would take is one little thing, and that stuff would be gone in like, an hour. Forget about it. You'd be lucky to get a bottle for yourself out of it, because of how people go crazy and panic when things happen. Same thing with everybody getting gas with the storm coming and at that station, everybody. And I was watching the people and how they're acting. And I thought to myself, this is like, it really is. I hate to say it's scary because I don't like to live in fear in any way, but the general population, I'm really sorry if you're a part of it. They're not like the brightest bulbs, man, and it's just like everything goes from like, I'm doing it, like you're just like running the program in your brain. I'm living my life. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. Oh, I ran into a roadblock because something changed. Now let's just like go crazy and shit all over everybody else so I can get what I need to make sure I'm comfortable until, they reopen the stores or whatever. It's just, really crazy thought process. Like, why do we not know this already as humanity, as physical entities existing, in a physical world, that, it doesn't all go, to plan all the time. Like, my grandma always she used to say it about marriage, but, in general, she would say, it's not all peaches and cream, right? So life is not all, peaches and cream. So, things are going to happen. And I think, like, this is what, because yesterday when this was happening, my biggest thing is the power. And I'm working towards getting myself a generator. I'm looking into things and what I want to get and blah, 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 blah. So I'm working to take care of that. And I really kind of thought to myself yesterday when I was getting nervous about, what should I do in case this or that, case that? And I said, honestly, if I had that generator, like I was thinking, I really wouldn't worry about it. I would go about my day totally normal. I wouldn't even think twice. All I know is I have it. And if the power goes out, I plug my refrigerator in, and my food is good to go for, until we get the things back up and running, unless I run out of whatever I need to fuel the generator, because I'm looking at different kinds. I'm not big on the the gas generators. I think they kind of stink. I'd like to get a solar generator, but where I live now, I'm renting. Do I need to tell you all this stuff? So anyway, I haven't found what I want, but I did find one that runs on, propane, which I think is a great medium. Like I can get some propane tanks and run the propane. Then, like if I had a grill, I can use the propane for the grill as well. So I have a place to cook. I have a place to boil water. I have a place to, keep my refrigerator running. So, and that's basically all I would need, and I would feel okay, because ultimately, I'm not saying you have to be prepared for like apocalypse, right? Like, you're going to be, Mad Max world and, you need food for a year in some kind of bunker. To me, it's kind of simple. Think about the things that you like, some of the foods that you like, whatever, stuff that's preserved cans or, the vacuum sealed bags or, whatever, even rice and beans and those type of things that you normally would eat. And you just buy a little bit extra and you keep, right? And then as over time, you just rotate it. You're going to use it anyway because it's stuff that you would normally eat. So you eat some of it and then you replace it. And you always just keep like enough. Because to me, I feel if some sort of crazy catastrophe happened that, power was going to be out for like a month or something like just, who knows, or longer. It's those first couple days or so that are really the most important, right? Like, if something happens, you have your reserves, and now you don't have to run out and like, what do I need today, right? Like you already have what you need today, and then you can take the time to assess the situation and then move forward to see how you're going to progress to sustain yourself, moving forward. And, part of it to me too is like, by then, if you're in a situation where you're going to, you're in an area where power is out for like a month, I would hope, and how I see it is that like, you would start to work with your neighbors, right? Because everybody's kind of in the same situation. So people would start coming together and, hey, sharing information of what's going on or things that they know and how can we help and how can we, fix things up so everybody is okay. But instead of this, like everybody's doing their own thing, all the time. And then all of a sudden they say a storm's coming or something happens and everybody's totally ill prepared. They have never even thought about any kind of emergency plan whatsoever. So I don't know. I just think I just can't get over like how people just go crazy with panic, and they just with the rushing of shopping and especially the panic buying, like what happened during COVID. As soon as they announced that, all the shelves were wiped out, and it was a whole mania, right? So. Like, I just want to encourage people to, there's nothing to be afraid of, right? It's just like, it's like, this is like life. So, have things around, have a nice, flashlight that is working with some extra batteries and, have a battery powered radio or something so you can get information if, internet and all that goes down and, there's a storm or a situation or China's invading the country. I don't know, whatever's happening, at least you can, find out, what's going on. Obviously, have some water. Medications, right? If you're on meds, I don't recommend medications. You know how I am with the meds, but maybe you're on a medication, right? So just be mindful of like, okay, if something happens, I know this is something I have to take care of each day, so just be prepared. Like, I don't know. I just think, it makes sense. And I'm speaking, this is not a lecture, and maybe a lot of people out there already do this type of stuff and say, this is common sense. And guess what? I agree with you. I do think it's common sense, but I realize myself, even as much as I'm a lot more prepared now than I was in the past, I'm still not prepared the way, I'd like to be in certain ways, things, just certain skills to learn, and just to know simple things that could be, very helpful in those type of crisis situations. But unfortunately, it's just like, the herd, man, the herd, they're just like, or animals. I always say, and it's just, and society has been so dumbed down and weakened emotionally and mentally and intellectually, so there's never been given, like, I don't feel our society's really ever been empowered. And I'm not just speaking America, I'm speaking, across the world in a way. No one's really, especially you go to other countries, like they've been locking people down in China long before here, right? So just saying other countries are already kind of ahead of us in, and keeping people down. But at the same time, the empowerment they try to teach for that crazy agenda that they do, is empowering you to be a voice and to, and it all turns into this political crap, right? Fight for your rights to be a this, to fight for your right to be a that, or, whatever, but not like real empowerment, like empowerment of like being a fellow human being, being in tune with the world around us, being in tune with your center, your source, to understand, higher truths. That's like real empowerment, right? And if like, to me, like if I, I don't have kids, if I had a kid today, I would teach them that kind of stuff. Like, okay, listen, you're a physical entity existing on this planet. What are you, how you want to live your life to, keep things, you don't want to become like a hoarder, and all that type of stuff too. You don't need like, 600 rolls of toilet paper stocked in your, basement in case something happens. But, just enough, a little bit of extra of things that you need over time. And like, there should never be a situation where, something's announced or something happens, like, if they come out with another variant like they're trying to do now, and, whatever they're working towards with locking people down again. And I saw a list yesterday, by the way. I should do a show about this, probably will at some point, see how far this thing goes. But, I saw some institutions, and I don't know if they're businesses as well, but I know some schools and stuff like that. Some in California. I forgot where, of course, California, right? You can't get any worse than California. But they're already putting mask mandates back in place in certain in certain facilities or what. So, excuse me, I apologize. If we start going back down that road again, every time somebody comes out and says that they're saying you have to have a mask or get a jab before you can enter or do anything in this business or whatever, to me it's just a clear sign of these are the people to boycott. To me it's like they're giving us a public list of who to boycott because they're advertising that they require masks and jabs. So that just shows you those are the kookadoo evil nut job people that you want to stay away from, right? But anyway, why was I saying all that business? I was talking about the preparations. So yeah, just if they come out again with some kind of try to lockdown or something, I'm like, we know this game already. And the point is, like, it shouldn't come that something just happens one day and everybody goes, and they got to run to the store and buy out everything in 15 minutes, So you should have shit already because, it's not just about a crisis. It's not like if somebody dropped a bomb or, this is normal life. Power can go out just in a normal storm during the summer or something, wherever you live, right? If you live in the middle of the country, maybe a tornado or, like again, an earthquake or, these forest fires and stuff. I mean, it's just common sense to say something's going to happen at some point, right? So, what do you just realize for yourself what you need to live to be comfortable, right? And the things that you need and the things like take the stress off yourself before the stress comes, right? Just kind of think ahead, like, okay, these are the situations that could happen. I want to be prepared. These are the things I need, and you don't have to do everything all at once, right? You just kind of slowly stockpile the things that you want, and you rotate through things. You don't like let stuff sit. That by the time you get to the food, because of the crisis happens, you realize that the can expired 3 years ago, and now you're afraid to eat it. So I just mean like don't just like buy it, stock it. It's it's not like just a one-time thing. It's part of a way of life. And if you're living like that, all of a sudden, even if you're not expecting, even if they don't announce a storm and all of a sudden, whatever, something happens and the grid goes down, some nut goes over and, shoots up the power grid. And now, this neighborhood's out of power for a month until they can replace all, and fix everything. I mean, who the frig knows, right? The point I'm making is, no one should be without. We should all, kind of be responsible for ourselves, be mindful. It's especially since I moved here to Florida. Now I've been through, this will be, I guess, my third hurricane. So there was 2 last year, and now there's the first one, this year. So, I've experienced them before in Jamaica. I experienced one, and of course, even in New Jersey, a couple, have come through up there. So, but down here, it's obviously it's different. It's more intense. Blah blah blah. All that stuff. So. It just puts a lot, I like living, that's what I say. And I was talking to my mother about it really the other day. And I said, the truth is, I know that I like to live close to the water. So if I'm going to do that, I have to be aware that situations could occur. And how do I want to set my life up so that I know when the situation does occur, how I'm going to move forward and handle the situation. So, you just have to be, I think the most important things are when these type of things happen, like if they, this, because I know how people are and they just panic and run out, don't just take a second to think about the situation, what you're being told, what's going on, and assess, what your next course of action is. What's the best thing for you to do next? Maybe give yourself 24 hours just to think it over before you overreact, and if you have to go out and buy some stuff, you don't need to, overspend and overbuy, and then you get a bunch. I mean, I've done it before myself. I've bought a bunch of stuff that I said, I know I think something's going to be happening. I want to make sure I have blah, blah, blah. And then I wind up never using some of the stuff. Right. So it's like, I bought it, whether maybe that was fear-based, some of the times I've bought some of the stuff that I've bought, but I've realized and I've learned and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just trying to say, like, we don't have to, things are always going to happen. All right. Bottom line, let me wrap it up. Things are going to happen. And we all know this. So take the stress off yourself. And, I told you in the other program I did, Hold the Line, the other day, that, basically, I feel coming into the fall, especially after Labor Day, we could see a lot more, crazy shit going on. So you just never know what's going to happen. So, there's nothing to panic about. Just get what you need. Confer with your neighbors. I think that's a great idea too, in your local communities, and like have a plan kind of in place a little bit. Like, hey, guys, if the power goes out or this happens, you'll take care of this and we'll take care of that, or whatever. Just or it doesn't have to be like a what do we do? And everybody stepping on each other's face, to get the last Hot Pockets box out of the freezer at the grocery store. Hot Pockets aren't even food, ladies and gentlemen. So go get real food, and, learn to grow food. That's one of my things on my list too, that I'm going to be moving towards. I'm not sure when, but I mean, that's on my list, to start doing that too. So maybe this year, maybe before the end of this year or going into next year, I don't know, but start growing something, or just starting to learn what it is, what it even is to stick a seed in the ground and to nurture it to a tomato plant. It sounds simple enough, but there's technique, and it's just like everything else. There's an art to everything, and I think just being able to sustain yourself, the more, I would say it like this, and again, we'll leave it at this, the more you can take care of yourself, being free and non-dependent on the system, I mean, that's plain and simple. The easier it is for you, right? And you don't have to stress. You don't have to worry. You don't have to run out and fight with everybody. You already have what you need because something's going to happen. And then when it happens, you assess and move forward from there to see what the next steps are. So it's a panic party. It's a panic party up in here. It's a panic. Where's my screaming woman? Here she is. Everybody's panicking. All right, okay. Get out of here. So, sorry about that. I know. All right. So anyway, that's what I have for you here today on Operation Status Quo, ladies and gentlemen. Do not panic. Just be mindful and prepare. And after seeing those people at the gas station the other day, I really clicked in my head. I'm like, man, it wouldn't take much. And we're looking at a bunch of, maniacal savages slicing your throat for anything they can get, right? So and I don't mean criticism towards the people, but in general, it's just the programming, and we've been dumbed down, and some of these people are just, man, like living in a whole nother space. So hey, I don't want to get into all that because I don't want to put people down. You know, I don't mean it like that way. We're all equal. I always say that. Everybody's on their own path and their own journey. I would just, you know, from my perspective, my human perspective, I would like to encourage, and that'd make me happy just to see people a little more engaged with their surroundings and understanding day-to-day life, you know, beyond a video game and, you know, whatever's on frickin' Netflix. So anyway, that's it for today here on Operation Status Quo, ladies and gentlemen. I again thank you for your time. If you haven't done so already, why not? I mean, why not? Just for fun. Like, subscribe, share, send this out to your friends, your family, those you love, and of course, those you despise as well. Oh, hold on. I got to go back over here so I can do my official goodbye. God bless each and every one of you. I love you individually as well as a group, and I know you know that. And until tomorrow, Operation Status Quo disengaged.